Minister is well versed to take us through that. Safe to say that Women of Fortitude is a campaign that seeks to drive the conversation of how women today, from all ages and backgrounds, can continue the legacy of Sisulu, who would have turned 100 years today. So I thought I must just make that entry statement, you know, because sometimes if you don't put an entry statement, you run the risk of not putting your people in the mood. I'll give an example of what I saw once happening. You know, in the African townships and villages, mostly when it's weekend, we know it's funerals and we go, we pay homage and so on. And you must make sure, because normally we put tents, you must make sure that even the hymns that are sung, they can hear that it's hymns of sorrow as a human. Because if you don't do that, a person will just come because they know that every weekend they are, you know, there's something. And a person might think that it's, maybe you find that it's a 21st birthday party for that. And you're playing the hymns because the mother likes, you know, those hymns and so on. And they, you know, our guys who normally wait for these dues, then thinks that, oh, there is a death case there. And only that is a 21st. Immediately when he arrives at the gate, he starts crying. And I know the deceased very well. And only to find that it's a 21st. So you make sure that it is the first statement you put it. Thank you very much. With those words, allow me, the ladies of our nation, the mothers of our nation,
I'll repeat that. Sisulu distinguished herself as a reliable cadre whose unflinching commitment towards the values of freedom and democracy has become synonymous with her own legacy. The shining stars of the caliber of Sisulu come into our world from time to time and leave behind a compelling reason to our collective claim to a humane world. Once departed, they joined the galaxies of our departed stars and further brightened our universe. Back on Earth, they leave behind a legacy through the footprints of their lived experiences, pioneering pathways for all other fellow mortals to follow. It was in this context that we resolved on the theme of Women of Fortitude as a trail that must be followed by those women who have been inspired by Sisulu's selfless sacrifices for our democracy and freedom. Against all odds, Sisulu brought up her family in the absence of her husband, who together with Nelson Mandela and many other political prisoners served life sentence on Robben Island. Her legacy is partly alive in her own children, who have picked up her torch to illuminate the dungeons of poverty, inequality, unemployment, towards ensuring a better life for all. In her mold, we believe that through the 100 women of Fortitude, Sisulu's legacy will continue to live and inspire the change that she should not complete because of the limitations imposed on her mortal life. Today, we declare her legacy as immortal, as it will continue to live through the many women around this table who have made a choice to associate themselves with the resilience typified by her life during the dark days of apartheid brutality. Her resilience remains an inspiration for the current generation and all posterity to emulate. As part of celebrating the centenary year of Mama Sisulu, our government is launching the Women of Fortitude campaign that calls on 100 women who will carry that legacy of Mama Sisulu forward. The objective of this movement is to blow the trumpet and let women across the length and breadth of our land to hear that rallying call to stand up, to unite, and be women of courage and be part of making this beautiful land a better place for all. This initiative is aimed at promoting social cohesion, women empowerment, and to recognize women across all sectors who have courageously and successfully broken barriers by contributing to building a South Africa that was envisaged in our democratic constitution, most importantly, to motivate younger generation to find a Sisulu in themselves. In 1956, women coordinated themselves across the country to march to these union buildings. In unity, those women changed, they left a legacy. Together, they were much stronger. As women today, you are called upon to continue that legacy and to create a better South Africa for all who live in it. It starts with you to do things differently, things that can change the trajectory of our lives so that you, yourself, just like Mama Sisulu before, be that woman who can stand up, who can be counted a woman of fortitude. We can have a better tomorrow if we look through the lenses of Mama Albertina Sisulu. Today, 100 women have joined this movement and became women of fortitude. You are courageous, resilient women who have succeeded despite the difficulties, already contributing to making your country a better place for all to live in. You are inspirational women who must continue to be encouraged to find a Sisulu in yourselves and make a meaningful contribution, especially to disadvantaged communities. You are women who will provide that leadership in finding solutions for all the struggling women of our society and have that willingness to contribute towards making your country a better place. You are women who have the appreciation for the legacy of Mama Sisulu, who are passionate about your country and its future. You are here today to be recognized for your contribution and to encourage you to create that chain of active citizenry by inviting other women all over the world to join you, this movement, and become women of Fortitude. Sisulu wants to the women of South Africa, I did not do it alone. Your country is faced with many challenges that you know of too well. Our National Development Plan broadly speaks to the trio challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment as a barometer to both the challenges that we face as well as the progress that we must make. As women of Fortitude, you must, like Frantz Fanon once said, discover your own mission and be part of a generation and discover your mission for freedom in your lifetime. Together with her temporaries such as Mama Winnie Mandela, Mama Tambo, and many others, Mama Sisulu fulfilled their own generational mission and they never betrayed it. The importance of this is that every struggle presents hardships that give the temptation to betray it and to give up its noble mission. The 100 women of Fortitude, like yourselves, you will face challenges and even periods of a lull when it may seem all is lost and forgotten. But it is in those times that you must dig deeper into yourselves and to rediscover the Ma Sisulu in you and stand up the test of time. The various challenges that we face mean we must have a Ma Sisulu in all of us, in all conceivable area of human endeavor and occupation to prove the lives of our people. Today is an occasion that Ma Sisulu symbolically passes that baton to you and your generation. I'm very confident that in you our country is in safe hands. In you we have role models to further inspire the change that will make Ma Sisulu smile in her grave. You are the shining stars that have declared Ma Sisulu's mortal passing a lie, as her legacy will continue to live in you. Our country and our world will shine brighter through your work and through your example. It was the legendary revolutionary Che Guevara who once declared that a revolutionary must be imbued with feelings of love for the people. Ma Sisulu's passion for children and the sick mirrored her love for those in need. Therefore, today, we have joined a journey of love, a journey of sacrifice. It must ache you to see the poverty of our people if you have to lay claim to a revolutionary that Che Guevara spoke of. It must ache you to witness the unemployed suffer if you are a woman of Fortitude in the mold of Ma Sisulu. It must be your endeavor to replace the legacy of apartheid inequality with that of Ma Sisulu's love for all of our people. Follow this conversation, #Women of Fortitude. I thank you for being part of it.
Thank you very much, Minister, for setting the scene, but also putting the challenge to the current generation in terms of how to even take that legacy along. Minister, I think it's my conviction that women will be reminded of the challenge, that they are always at the forefront, all challenges in society, at all the times. Women are the ones that are at the forefront. I think yes, it would be good to say as men, we should always follow them.
It's actually on that point, I was always inspired by my mother. When I wanted to become a lawyer, my first boss was a woman, Phyllis Naidu, in Durban. When I came out of jail, my first job, my bosses were women, Linda Zama and Miss Mchochisa. So I'm very proud to be led by women.
Oh,
Good morning. My name is Phumzile Mlangeni from SABC News. Minister, can you please speak to us to the criteria that was used? Speak to us regarding the 100 ambassadors that are in this room today. I see it's different women here. We've got young and old, and just speak to us about the criteria that was used, and also going forward, how are we planning to sustain this? I mean, a few years down the line, what are the plans in terms of that?
I'll ask my right-hand person, Sisulu, to answer your question.
Good morning. No, is it morning still? Yes, good morning. Good morning, women of Fortitude. And good morning to everyone who is here and a few gentlemen. Thank you very much, Minister, for the opportunity to respond to that question. It took a while, and some of the family members are here, to actually try and understand who Sisulu was, even as a family at this point. It was an opportunity for us to reflect on who she was as a person. And it became quite apparent to us that we could not put her in a capsule and say she was a mother, she was a freedom fighter, she was a children's rights activist, she was a gender activist, and she was an advocate for education and youth. And then how do you do that? And she did all of that through trials, through courage in particular, and we thought that it would be important then to recognize her as such. That many women are like Sisulu. Though you do not face imprisonment, nor do you face torture or a certain harassment under the state necessarily, and of course with the exceptions that we don't like, but also the circumstances are now different. However, you are still courageous and you break barriers and you succeed at doing so, but you don't stop there. You then go forward and ensure that you encourage others and bring other women along and contribute to your country like women did, like Sisulu did. So, 1, you've got the courage. 2, you're recognizing the barriers in your environment and you're able to actually break those barriers. 3, when you succeed at doing so, you contribute even beyond your area. What gives us this from Sisulu's life? She risked her nursing license in order for her to fight for the struggle for all South Africans to be free. And of course the question was, what have many of these women in this room had to risk in order for them to be in the newsroom, to be producers, to be in head captains of industry in the mining industry and so forth. So our criteria was really based on those characteristics and the values that Sisulu held true. And there's a quote that I think assists us in SABC to answer your question, that we looked for women who had the kind of resolve, the kind of conviction that she had when she was the first woman to be arrested under the 90-Day Act, arrested to sell out on her husband, where he was and what he was doing and where they could find, and she refused. Little did she know that her son, Max Sisulu, was also arrested, and even when they captured Walter Sisulu, they still wanted her to make a statement so it is on record that she sold out. And when she refused, the police officer said to her, "You will never see your husband, your children, or your family again. Instead, you will rot to the ground." And to that response, Sisulu said, "I was born of the soil, and I can only return to the soil again." For that, she got another week in prison. It is that kind of resolve and that kind of criteria that we're looking for, that even when it is tough, you are able to stand on principle. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Sipho Sterman, also from SABC TV News side. I think I posed this question earlier to the Minister when we were doing a live broadcast, but perhaps others they can answer this. And I wanted to ask, what are some of the key issues that these ambassadors are going to tackle right away? Excuse me, looking at some of the challenges that the country is facing, certainly it's different from the days of Sisulu. So right now, as they hit the ground, when we are done with this launch, what are these ambassadors going to work on? We consider issues of gender-based violence. Is that something you're going to be looking at in a few days' time? We have 16 days of activism of no violence against women and children. So what role are they going to play in that part? That's my question. Thank you.
Who wants to volunteer to answer the question before I get a target? Jenny?
We will need to ensure that we wake up every day with the courage and the resilience and the commitment of Sisulu. And I would hope that while we would be able to ensure that the major campaigns like the campaign against violence against women and children is something that we all stand very firm on, I would also like to see us in every field that we're involved in, because as I look around this room, I get goosebumps from the breadth of the women that you have been able to pull together into this group of women of Fortitude. And I think Sisulu's inspiration is for us to break ceilings and to ensure that we open paths for women of all walks of life. So I would hope that we would be ensuring that we are looking at employment of women, that we are looking at economic opportunities for women, that we are looking at the care industry in our communities, that we are looking at women's access to land, to ensuring that we clean up the corruption and maladministration in our state-owned entities, in government, in the private sector, right the way through our country, to ensure that the services can be provided to the poorest of the poor, because that was who Sisulu had committed her life to. And I think for me, that's what I would be expecting, is for all of us to wake up every day and to look at what do I do during the course of this day that makes a difference to the majority of the women of this country. But at the same time, I'm sure that we will find a way to rally ourselves, to add the weight And as a woman, does one talk about weight? Yes, I do talk about weight, because the weight, the gravitas of the women in this room and the women who are going to be joining us year on year as we go forward can make a profound impact on moving forward the transformation agenda that Sisulu committed her entire life to. Thank you.
Any other? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. My name is Francesca Fonse. With regards to the 16 days of activism, there are some very notable programs in place. I am the National Champion for Women in Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. However, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I would like to pledge that for all the women in this room, that we are committed. We are all women. Many of us know each other, and I can speak for all my other sisters, and we know that we are committed to taking the legacy of Mama Sisulu on and to walk in her footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. So, Charmaine Hubei, one of the ambassadors. I think for SABC, an immediate thing that as a technology company we can already start to do is we've got very, seamless, free applications to get the 100 women in this room talking to each other via a very basic app that we can download, and also just start to share so many of the initiatives that we are running and bring a lot of the entrepreneurs and bring some of the business people on board as well to start to, as Minister said, hashtag, just so that we get the message out there in terms of what we're doing. For those of us who work for corporates, and we know that a big agenda on the corporate profile is the gender agenda, that's an immediate first step that I'm going to go back to my office to make, is to ensure that I get the women around here connected. I start to connect the women to certain opportunities within the corporate space to start to get their voices heard, to get their voices out there. All of the commissions, all of the boards, etc., that I serve on, I'm going to make this hashtag a narrative for them. I'm going to ensure that they're included in that dialogue, and so are the women around the table. In every one of the universities, like Duke University, where I'm very prominent, we've got various technological innovation workshops coming up for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I'm going to invite some of these women. In fact, I already spoke to some of the younger ones this morning who were with Minister and I on a previous NDP 2030 Ambassador program to get involved in that. So these are just some quick wins that are already there for us, which didn't have a hashtag and it didn't have a home. And now, as of today, they will start to have a home with each and every one of us ambassadors around the table.
I'm a little overwhelmed to be here. I normally ask the questions. I want to just say that I am profoundly honored and grateful that I was chosen and met the criteria that was set for the amazing example of Sisulu. I am the daughter of a factory worker who worked in a factory in Salt River. They made coats. Every day we traveled with a train to school, and we couldn't miss the train because my mother's pay would be docked if she was late. And every afternoon I did my homework on the steps of the factory, listening to the women talk about the bosses, about their husbands, about their boyfriends, and about their children. My consciousness about justice comes from those factory workers. My mother is my hero and my inspiration. And Sisulu embodies the struggle not just against patriarchy, but also against capitalism, and against racism. And for me, there can be no struggle against patriarchy if there isn't a struggle to improve the lives of women, workers especially. For me, the biggest shortcoming of the way in which we measure our economy, and I was very disappointed at our investment conference when we didn't quantify the unpaid work that women do at home and that it's not added into our GDP. What is not measured cannot be the face of progress, not the face of poverty, of inequality, and of joblessness. So, as a journalist, my responsibility is to hold this government to account every single day on those commitments to women. And I believe firmly that we are here only because we stand on the shoulders of giants such as Sisulu. Thank you.
Thank you, Karima. Karima and I, should I say it? You know, when I was released on Robben Island in June 1990, she's the comrade and the woman who fetched me at the docks. They drove me to Cowley House and later to a rally in Michel's Plain. So I've known Karima since 1990. Other women want to contribute? Yes, ma'am. You'll guide us, Baloy.
So, I have a statement to make. Honourable Minister, I'm Ramona Casavan. I manufacture sanitary pads to keep girls in school over the last 4 years. And based on this conversation, I'm highly humbled to be nominated as an ambassador. But one of the things that I want to know with all the power in this room is we obviously deal with girls between 9 and 18 every day of our lives in our company. And one of the requests is connection between other women leaders. I think for us as a business, what I've seen is that when I share my stories of being abused, and I share my stories of this is how it is, or I meet other powerful women, Griselda, who share their stories about what they do and who they are, it gives girls permission to share their stories about what they're about. I come from Inanda. I was molested when I was 4 years old, and the sanitary pad business is actually a calling more than a business, because girls need to understand that instead of dealing with this at 30 years old, that this is my trust issues and my intimacy issues is based on my abuse. I need to talk to people now, and I need to talk to other women, because I feel that as powerful as we are, some of us don't really share that I've been there. I've come out of an abusive marriage. I don't even know how I built a company. And I think that my story just gives a lot of women permission to say, oh, me too.